Okay, so let's talk for a little bit about magazine ads, because I was asked about them on a coaching call that I was doing, and I thought the conversation around it was a little bit interesting because it's not the first time it's come up. Let's go into it. All right, so I was on a coaching call, and one of the guys says, hey, I just bought a monthly advertising package with a magazine that targets wealthy homeowners in the area, and they said that this would be good for my business. I was like, okay, well, how much does it cost? Because everything has a price, and if it's cheap, who cares? If it's expensive, well, then we got to think about it. It was like $1,500 a month. Now, this company was brand new. It's not a company that had been around for a while. $1,500 a month was a big chunk of their advertising spend. And I always wonder if it's worth it. And of course, he was too. So we just walked it through for a little while. And so you got to think about this. This particular magazine, old school, right? This particular magazine would go out into wealthy neighborhoods. It had a directory of home service companies that you could buy to be a part of. And then you could also place an ad somewhere in there. It runs once a month and it gets delivered to the mailboxes of these people. So the first thing I wonder is, what is the circulation of the magazine? And if you're ever running print, you should ask. Not everybody will give it to you, but you should ask. It's responsible to know, well, if they print 10 magazines, that's 10 impressions. And if I'm paying $1,500 for that, well, that stinks, right? So you want to make sure that it's reaching enough people. That's the first thing. And then you want to think about the behaviors that are attached to that piece. In this case, it's a magazine. His ad was not going to appear on the front. It wasn't going to appear on the back, which means that you had to go into it. And I don't know how thick the magazine was, but the more pages there are, the more ads there are, the more you're just part of something that other people are doing. So you take it out of the mailbox, you start thumbing through it, maybe if it doesn't go into the trash immediately. Well, why would it go into the trash immediately? Well, because most of the people didn't opt into this magazine on this list. Most of the people are sent it because they pulled a list of homeowners and then they're selling the advertising, whether or not the homeowners asked for this thing. So the idea that the magazine is valuable by the audience is really up in the air. Who knows? Some people probably receive it and they're like, well, that's kind of handy. Others are going to receive it and be like, what is this? Why did I get it? Then it goes in the trash. So keep that in mind. But let's assume that they bring it into the home. They put it somewhere in the house. Well, it might sit on a coffee table. It might sit on a counter. It might sit on the back of a toilet, which arguably is not the worst place for a plumber, right? But then they've got to open it. They've got to enjoy the articles enough to be able to do something. And let's face it, when was the last time that you entered a bathroom without your phone in your hand? I hope I'm not the only one thinking this, but you're not fiddling around with the magazine that you found on the back of the toilet because you're catching up with your friends and your family on digital platforms that you can be advertising on for way less than $1,500 a month, or get way farther for that $1,500 a month. So, okay, you can tell where this is going. But, so here's the biggest issue that I have with it is the fact that the market is unproven. The market is possibly not even wanting it. And it only shows up once a month, which means that your impressions are related, or are really going to be front loaded to when they receive it, if at all, because they have to look it up and go into it. Then you're hoping that they remember you enough that they go back to the magazine for that list of people and choose to call you. The amount of people who will do this is a ton of work on behalf of the user compared to the most convenient thing we have in all of our pockets, which is our phone. You're going to just Google and take it from there. Why not, right? So always keep in mind the user behavior in the grand scheme of things. A lot of people just kind of forget that that part of the equation exists because they were sold something by a salesman, and that salesman is trying to meet quota. And so it's not that it's useless, because all advertising has a place. If the advertising didn't work at all, it wouldn't sell. If it didn't sell, the medium wouldn't exist. So somewhere there's a magazine where this setup makes sense. And sometimes there's going to be a customer where this setup does make sense. But for this particular client, no. because the $1,500 that he was spending on it meant he could reach 9,000 people once a day on their social feeds for a month. And instead, he's reaching maybe 10 people, I would guess, a month once. And even though you get that little directory listing with it, that is small potatoes, because most people, sure, they might go like, ooh, I'm going to keep this because it's like sponsored by the HOA. So I'm going to keep this, and this is my contractor list, right? We got to remember that contractor list is built by not the HOA, it's built by some other place. And a lot of people are just going to call the first plumber that either shows up on Google, or even better, the plumber that they trust. So I would take that budget and I would move it into a platform where you're going to reach more people faster and build trust with it. Run reviews, run testimonials, run everything you can in order to build up your presence or your reputation in the minds of your customer. Entertain and delight while you're there. And remember, that is 9,000 people once a day for 30 days straight. How many people wouldn't be associative of your company with plumbing problems at the end of that 1 month? And if you do that 3 to 6, you're going to get calls. But you have to wait. You have to build the reputation. You have to build the relationship. And then you have to wait for the need to become your moment of opportunity. That's how marketing works. So don't buy the magazine first. You buy it at the end. So when you're planning your marketing budget, buy the most important things first, which is the foundations, things that hit hard and often. Then if you have extra money in the budget, then you start going, well, where else can we spend it? And this magazine is going to fall in line somewhere in there, but it might not be until you're spending $40,000 a month instead of $3,000, right? So prioritization of your media is really what we're going after. If you want to hear more about this stuff, go ahead and comment, like the video, and do me a favor. Go to tylerwilliams.net if you want to schedule a consult with me or someone on my crew, because we like to help plumbers market. So that's my personal website, not my agency website. That's mammothforplumbers.com, but I'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks for listening.